Sometimes the quietest acts carry the loudest echoes. Daniel Harper thought as he trudged through the snow-laden valley. Blaze, his German shepherd, padding faithfully beside him, ears twitching to the subtle rhythms of the frozen ground beneath their boots. The morning sun barely pierced the thick clouds, casting pale light across the frost-covered trees, each branch glinting like shards of glass, and the wind carried the distant scent of pine and earth, crisp and alive, as if the valley itself was holding its breath for what was about to unfold. Daniel's eyes scanned the distant farm, where Farmer Henry Caldwell struggled with the stubborn gate, snow piling up around him, his breath fogging the air in small white clouds that dissolved quickly in the cold. Without hesitation, Daniel moved forward, leather gloves gripping the reins of an old wheelbarrow, feet crunching over icy grass, while Blaze sniffed the air, sensing movement beneath the surface, his amber eyes narrowing as he led Daniel toward a hidden side door in the barn that had been almost completely buried by winter. Inside, the smell of aged wood and dry hay mingled with the metallic tang of old tools, and Daniel's gloved hands traced the rough surfaces, feeling a rhythm in the grain, a story left behind decades ago. While Blaze pressed close, nose twitching, ears high, alert to every whisper of the old building. And as Henry finally freed a trapped cow with careful, precise movements, Daniel joined him, silently, lifting the animal with steady strength, every motion measured, controlled, yet infused with warmth and empathy that needed no words, the dog circling them, alert to every movement, guiding Daniel to the faint outline of a trapdoor partially hidden beneath a stack of worn burlap sacks, the sight sending a shiver of anticipation down his spine. The map and ledger he would soon discover promising secrets long forgotten, treasures not of gold but of history, legacy, and the labor of generations. Outside, the wind shifted, carrying a single shaft of sunlight that illuminated the frost-covered valley in a pale golden glow, reflecting off the icy creek and glimmering across the barn roof, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts over the frozen fields. And Daniel realized, even as he helped Henry steady the cow, that the quiet act of assistance was setting in motion a chain of events far greater than himself, something that would ripple through the valley and the lives within it. Blaze paused, lifting a paw and staring intently at a small crack in the floorboards, nose pressed close, then nudged Daniel forward, a silent command he had learned to trust, and together they lifted the boards to reveal a hidden hatch, a faint draft carrying the scent of aged paper and earth, and Daniel felt the pulse of history beneath his fingers, the promise of something miraculous awaiting their discovery. The snow outside now settling softly like a benediction, and in that stillness, Daniel Harper understood that sometimes the universe listens most closely to those who move quietly, act with kindness, and trust the guidance of the loyal heart beside them. Daniel Harper carefully descended the narrow ladder into the hidden hatch, Blaze close behind, the dog's paws barely making a sound on the worn wood as the faint smell of earth and aged paper grew stronger, a subtle vibration beneath their feet that seemed to pulse in time with the quiet wind whistling through cracks above. The chamber below opened into a low-ceilinged room, where dust motes floated in the pale light filtering through small openings, revealing shelves lined with meticulously kept journals, faded photographs, and weathered tools that spoke of decades of labor and care. And Daniel ran his fingers over the rough spines, feeling the weight of history and the patience of those who had lived here before, while Blaze sniffed each corner, ears high and alert, guiding him to a narrow trapdoor partially hidden beneath a loose rug, the scent of aged pine and iron leading the way as Daniel carefully lifted it, revealing a descending staircase that spiraled into deeper darkness. And he paused for a moment, listening to the echo of distant water dripping somewhere below, the air cool and still, carrying the faint metallic tang of old nails and stone. With each step, the chamber expanded into a vast underground space, where natural rock walls intertwined with crafted wooden beams, and Daniel could make out a small creek flowing along one side, reflecting the dim glow from the lantern he carried, the sound gentle yet persistent, a heartbeat beneath the silence, while Blaze sniffed along the water's edge, pausing occasionally to paw at subtle disturbances in the sand. leading Daniel toward a section of the wall where a small latch was hidden, almost imperceptible under years of dust and cobwebs, and as Daniel pressed it, a hidden compartment swung open, revealing bundles of envelopes tied with delicate ribbons, their contents meticulously labeled, revealing maps of the valley, plans for irrigation and orchards, and letters that spoke of trust, care, and legacy. And he realized that the farm above had been nurtured with more intention than anyone had imagined, each document a testament to decades of dedication. Outside, a beam of sunlight found its way through a crack in the hatch above, illuminating the dust in the air like tiny stars, and Daniel felt a quiet awe settle over him. The wind outside carrying the faint scent of pine and snow, reminding him of the world above, while Blaze sat attentively, amber eyes reflecting the flicker of the lantern, ears twitching at the faintest sound, signaling that they were not alone in this discovery. Daniel carefully lifted the papers, feeling the texture of the parchment, the fragile edges, and as he read through them, he understood the hidden history, the careful planning that had preserved this valley, and the responsibility it implied, while Blaze nudged his hand gently, a reminder of loyalty and shared purpose, and together, man and dog moved through the underground chamber with reverence, each corner revealing another layer of the farm's secret story. And as the light from the lantern danced across the walls, Daniel felt the weight of possibility settle into his chest, a quiet sense that kindness and patience, even when unseen, had the power to unlock more than just doors, but futures yet to be realized. The soft glow of the lanterns cast long shadows across the chamber as Daniel Harper carefully arranged the maps and ledgers. On a rough wooden table, the air thick with the scent of aged pine and the faint metallic tang of the underground creek that ran nearby. Blaze paced along the edges, tail low but steady, nostrils flaring with every subtle scent, alert to the hidden rhythm of the old farm preserved beneath the valley. And Daniel felt a quiet reverence for the meticulous care each generation had taken to protect this place. Every note, diagram, and faded photograph a testament to patience, diligence, and love for the land. And as he traced his fingers over a blueprint of the orchard above, he imagined the rows of apple and cherry trees, their branches heavy with fruit, sunlight spilling across the fields, the distant hills rolling gently toward the horizon. And he knew that the farm had survived not by chance, but by those who had quietly nurtured it for decades. Outside, the wind carried the faint scent of snow and cedar, and a single bird cried from the ridge, a sound that echoed softly through the hidden space, reminding Daniel that life, even in silence, persisted in layers both seen and unseen. While Blaze paused by a small stone ledge, amber eyes reflecting the lantern's flicker, tail swishing slowly, as if sensing the weight of discovery, and Daniel followed him to a narrow alcove, where a small bundle of letters tied with faded ribbon revealed the personal stories of the farmers who had worked this land, their hopes and struggles written in ink that had faded but not vanished, each word a bridge across time, connecting past to present. Daniel carefully untied the ribbon, the rustle of paper a gentle music in the quiet, and began reading accounts of planting seasons, harvests, and small community gatherings, the warmth of human care resonating even in the cold underground air. And he realized that this hidden chamber was more than a repository of property or wealth. It was a living memory of the valley itself, and that every act of kindness and diligence here had created a legacy, patiently waiting for the right hands to honor it. Blaze nudged Daniel gently, head tilting as though to say the exploration was not just about finding the physical treasures, but understanding the spirit behind them. And Daniel nodded, feeling a profound connection to the unseen generations who had walked these fields and built this valley with care. And as he carefully cataloged the letters and maps, he envisioned the future of the farm, the laughter of new families, the rustle of leaves in summer breezes, and the quiet hum of life continuing in harmony, while the underground creek murmured alongside him, a constant reminder that the world above and below were linked in rhythm and resilience. And in that moment, Daniel Harper understood that the patience, loyalty, and silent devotion of both human and canine had unlocked more than a farm. It had unlocked a story of enduring hope, a gift to carry forward, and a promise that every act of goodness, however quiet, held the power to shape the world in ways beyond measure. As Daniel Harper ascended the narrow staircase back toward the hatch, Blaze moving silently at his side, the faint glow of morning beginning to filter through cracks above, he felt the chill of the underground air give way to the crisp, pale winter light, carrying with it the scent of pine, damp earth, and the faint warmth of the sun glinting across the frost-covered fields. Stepping outside, the expanse of the valley stretched before him, a panorama of rolling hills, frozen creeks, and orchards dusted in white. The stillness so profound that even the distant calls of birds seemed hushed, as if the land itself waited to reveal its secrets. And Daniel paused to take in the scene, shoulders squared yet relaxed, chest rising and falling with the quiet rhythm of deep breaths, while Blaze sniffed the wind, alert and watchful, amber eyes glinting with intelligence and instinct, guiding Daniel along a narrow path toward the main farmhouse, where the soft crunch of snow underfoot echoed faintly across the open space. The old barn, its wood weathered to silver gray, stood silently against the backdrop of distant hills, and as Daniel approached, he noticed the faint outlines of pathways and fences that hinted at the farm's long history, the labor and care that had gone into shaping the land. And in that moment, he could feel the invisible pulse of generations that had worked, loved, and nurtured this place. A quiet symphony of effort and devotion etched into every furrow, every wooden beam, every frozen stream that cut through the fields. And as he gently pushed open the creaking door to the farmhouse, the scent of aged wood and lingering cedar washed over him, reminding him that the house, much like the valley, had been waiting for someone to honor it, to breathe new life into its halls. While Blaze padded softly beside him, tail low, but steady, ears swiveling to catch the faintest sound, guiding Daniel to a corner where a bundle of keys lay atop a worn bench, the metal cold against his palm, a tangible bridge between the past and the future. And as he turned to survey the sprawling valley under the morning light, the frost sparkling like a scattering of diamonds across the fields, he felt a profound stillness settle over him, a sense that patience, kindness, and loyalty, both human and canine, had aligned to unveil more than a farm, but the promise of a life rebuilt, a legacy preserved, and the quiet assurance that acts of goodness, though small and silent, could resonate across time, shaping the world in ways both subtle and miraculous, while the soft breeze carried the faint scent of earth and snow, wrapping Daniel and Blaze in the embrace of the valley, a living testament to the enduring power of care, trust, and hope. Daniel Harper stepped carefully along the frost-laden path toward the orchard, Blaze moving in sync beside him, ears twitching at every faint shift of wind through the bare branches. And as he reached the first row of apple trees, the delicate patterns of frost on the bark caught the pale morning light, casting intricate shadows across the snow-covered ground, each one seeming to whisper stories of seasons past and hands that had carefully pruned, nurtured, and protected these trees over decades. Daniel bent to brush the frost from a low-hanging branch, feeling the subtle texture of bark beneath his gloved fingers, the roughness grounding him in the rhythm of labor and life that had shaped this hidden valley, while Blaze sniffed the ground, alert to every scent, occasionally pawing at the snow as if pointing out invisible details, guiding Daniel toward a small, weathered shed tucked between two ancient oaks, its paint faded to a soft gray, hinges creaking gently as he opened the door, revealing shelves lined with tools, seed packets, and handwritten notes chronicling planting schedules and harvests, each document a testament to careful stewardship and enduring care. The air inside carried the faint smell of dried hay and earth, mingled with the crispness of winter outside. And Daniel took a moment to inhale deeply, letting the serenity of the hidden farm settle over him, his heart sinking with the quiet pulse of the land, while Blaze padded along the edges of the shed, amber eyes glinting, tail low and steady, ears swiveling to capture the faintest sound of movement, each step echoing softly against the wooden floorboards. As he explored further, Daniel discovered a narrow trapdoor beneath a rug, dust motes dancing in the thin beam of sunlight filtering through a crack above, and he lifted it to reveal a small cellar with shelves of preserved jars, bundles of dried herbs, and more meticulous records of crop rotations and soil health, each item a story in miniature, preserving knowledge and dedication through time. And as he carefully examined the contents, tracing the faded ink and worn edges, he felt a profound connection to the unseen hands that had cultivated this valley, a lineage of patience, persistence, and quiet devotion. Outside, the wind shifted, carrying the subtle scents of pine, snow, and soil, brushing against his face and reminding him of the vastness of the world above, while also affirming the intimate beauty of what he held in his hands. And Blaze nudged his shoulder gently, a reminder of loyalty and partnership, encouraging him to continue to honor this legacy with mindfulness and care. Daniel paused at the edge of the orchard, looking out over the valley, the snow sparkling like scattered diamonds across the fields, sunlight glinting from icy branches, and in that moment, he felt the weight of responsibility and the quiet thrill of possibility, understanding that the acts of kindness and steadfast attention, both his own and those of generations past, had created a treasure far greater than he had imagined, a living testament to care, trust, and enduring hope, a space where life could thrive in harmony, and where he and Blaze could walk together through the rhythm of days, tending to the land, preserving its story, and witnessing the gentle unfolding of miracles in the still, serene beauty of the hidden valley. The sun began its slow climb over the horizon, casting a gentle golden light across the snow-dusted valley, and Daniel Harper stood at the edge of the orchard, breathing in the crisp morning air, the scent of pine and thawing earth mingling with the faint sweetness of dormant fruit trees, while Blaze padded softly at his side, nose to the ground, ears flicking at the quiet movements of wildlife hidden beneath the winter blanket. Daniel's gloved hands traced the contours of the wooden fence, posts worn smooth by decades of care, and he imagined the rhythm of life that had passed through these lands, the seasonal planting and harvests, the laughter and quiet conversations carried on the wind, the legacy of patience and devotion etched into every row and furrow. While Blaze paused at the edge of a frozen creek, amber eyes catching the first glimmers of sunlight reflecting on ice, tail low and steady, signaling that something awaited them deeper in the valley. Following the dogs led, Daniel made his way along a narrow footpath that wove between ancient oaks and spruce, the snow crunching softly beneath his boots, the world alive with subtle sounds, the distant drip of melting icicles, the faint rustle of branches, the soft sigh of wind moving through the trees, each sound grounding him in the presence of the land, making the hidden farm feel alive, breathing quietly in harmony with him and Blaze. Arriving at a small stone building tucked into the hillside, Daniel paused, taking in the intricate stonework, the faint traces of moss along the mortar, the delicate carvings worn smooth by time. And as he pushed open the weathered door, the scent of aged cedar and earth welcomed him, carrying with it the whispers of generations who had built, tended, and protected this valley. While Blaze padded in ahead, sniffing the corners, tail swaying slowly, guiding Daniel to a set of shelves lined with jars of preserved fruits and herbs, each labeled in careful, looping handwriting, records of planting, harvest, and care that spoke of love and dedication spanning decades. Daniel gently lifted a bundle of old letters tied with a faded ribbon, the paper fragile, yet vibrant with stories of hope, diligence, and trust. And as he read, he could see the careful planning and foresight that had kept this farm thriving through storms, seasons, and the passage of time, a quiet miracle in its own right. While Blaze lay nearby, head resting on his paws, amber eyes observing every movement, a silent partner in understanding the legacy that unfolded before them. Stepping outside once more, Daniel followed the gentle slope toward the heart of the valley, observing the hidden streams, the frozen paths, the orchard rows, and the skeletal remains of previous structures, each one telling a story of labor, kindness, and patience. And in the silence broken only by the soft crunch of snow and the occasional whistle of wind through the trees, he felt a deep sense of connection to the land, a quiet gratitude for the unseen hands that had nurtured it, and the steady, loyal presence of Blaze reminded him that some bonds, between human and dog, between caretaker and land, endure far longer than seasons. creating a rhythm of life and hope that would carry the hidden valley forward into the days, months, and years to come. The late afternoon sun dipped lower behind the hills, casting long golden shadows across the valley, and Daniel Harper moved slowly along the orchard paths, his breath forming small clouds in the cold air, while Blaze padded beside him, tail swaying in quiet rhythm, nostrils twitching as he picked up every scent carried on the soft breeze that whispered through the bare branches. Daniel paused at the edge of a small pond, its surface frozen smooth, reflecting the pale light in fractured patterns, and he knelt to brush the frost from a few low-hanging branches, feeling the rough bark beneath his gloved fingers, each touch connecting him to the countless hours of care and labor that had shaped this hidden farm, while Blaze sniffed along the bank, pausing at a faint disturbance in the snow, signaling something hidden beneath, and together they discovered a small cache of old tools, carefully preserved beneath a wooden lid, each item telling a story of generations that had worked this land with patience, dedication, and quiet love. Daniel opened the lid, the smell of aged wood and faint cedar filling the crisp air, and as he ran his fingers over the handles and edges, he could feel the rhythm of life that had passed through the valley, the cycles of planting and harvest, the careful tending of orchards, and the laughter and quiet voices of those who had walked these paths long before him. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of pine, snow, and fertile earth, and Daniel stood, eyes scanning the valley, taking in the undulating hills, the neat rows of dormant apple trees, the frozen streams winding through the fields, and the small farmhouse nestled among the oaks, its stone walls glowing faintly in the evening light, while Blaze pressed close, amber eyes bright, ears alert to every subtle movement, and Daniel felt a deep, unspoken bond between man, dog, and land, a connection forged by care, attention, and the quiet acts that had sustained this hidden farm through the years. Moving toward the farmhouse, he noticed the intricate patterns in the frost on the windows, the way the sunlight glanced off the icy panes, casting delicate shadows on the floor inside, and stepping carefully across the threshold, he felt the warmth of the building, the lingering scent of cedar, wood, and earth, a quiet welcome that spoke of home and continuity, while Blaze explored the corners with measured steps, sniffing gently, ears flicking to every subtle sound, signaling that the farm, though long hidden, had been waiting for someone to honor it, someone to continue the legacy of care and attention embedded in every wall, fence, and furrow. Daniel moved through the rooms with reverence, noticing the shelves lined with preserved seeds, neatly stacked jars, and handwritten notes chronicling planting schedules and crop rotations, and as he gently touched the pages and lids, he could almost hear the echoes of hands that had worked, nurtured, and protected this land, each movement deliberate, loving, and patient, while outside the wind softened, carrying the faint rustle of distant trees, and the valley seemed to exhale, a living testament to the quiet power of dedication, loyalty, and enduring hope. And Daniel realized that the acts of kindness, perseverance, and care, combined with the loyal presence of Blaze, had not only revealed a hidden farm but had illuminated the heartbeat of a valley that would continue to thrive under their watchful, respectful attention. The sky shifted from soft gold to the deeper shades of evening as Daniel Harper walked along the ridge overlooking the hidden valley, Blaze trailing closely, ears alert, tail swaying with quiet assurance, and the frost-laden ground crunched under his boots, each step echoing faintly through the still air, while the faint scent of pine, soil, and distant smoke from a wood stove drifted up from the valley below. Daniel paused, taking in the expanse of orchards, frozen streams, and rolling hills, noticing how the sunlight glinted off ice-coated branches, casting fractured patterns across the snow, and he felt a profound connection to the land, to the generations that had cultivated it, and to the unseen acts of care that had preserved this valley over decades. While Blaze sniffed the edges of the trail, pausing occasionally to paw gently at the snow, guiding Daniel toward the old farmhouse nestled among oaks and spruce, its stone walls glowing softly in the fading light, and the wooden shutters, worn and weathered, hinted at countless seasons of protection and shelter. Stepping closer, Daniel could hear the faint creak of the wind moving through the timbers, and he imagined the quiet hands that had built this home, the careful attention to detail, the patient care that had allowed it to endure, and he felt a deep sense of responsibility and privilege, knowing that he and Blaze were now the stewards of this hidden treasure, tasked with preserving the rhythm of life it held. Within, entering the farmhouse, the air carried the warmth of aged wood, faint cedar, and the subtle, comforting scent of hay, and as Daniel moved from room to room, brushing his hands across shelves lined with jars of preserved fruits, stacks of seed packets, and meticulously kept records, he felt the story of the farm unfold, the cycles of planting, tending, and harvest echoing in the quiet. Blaze lay nearby, head resting on Paws, eyes bright amber, ears flicking to every faint noise. The loyal presence a reminder of shared purpose and connection, and Daniel understood that each act of kindness, each careful moment of labor, each quiet decision made by those who had come before had built a legacy greater than any individual, a legacy now entrusted to him. As the evening deepened and the valley glowed under the soft light of the setting sun, Daniel stepped outside once more, breathing in the crisp air, feeling the pulse of life within the valley. The stillness punctuated by the faint gurgle of the creek, the soft sway of tree branches, and the distant calls of birds returning to roost, and he realized that the farm, hidden for so long, was not just a place of work or wealth, but a living testament to patience, loyalty, and enduring hope, a quiet miracle in the rhythm of nature and care, and with Blaze at his side, he felt ready to honor it, to walk its paths, tend its lands, and nurture its story for all the seasons yet to come. As twilight settled over the hidden valley, Daniel Harper stood at the edge of the orchard, the soft amber glow of Blaze's eyes catching the fading sunlight, and a gentle hush fell across the fields, the snow muffling the distant creeks and the whisper of wind through the bare branches of apple and cherry trees, while the farmhouse behind him exuded warmth, the stone walls glowing faintly in the deepening light, promising shelter and continuity. And Daniel felt a profound stillness settle over him, a quiet acknowledgement of the long path that had led him here, the acts of kindness and careful attention that had revealed the valley, and the weight of responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. Moving slowly along the rows, he traced the frost-covered branches, noticing the delicate patterns of ice and the subtle play of light across the landscape, imagining the rhythm of seasons past, the hands that had nurtured each tree, each furrow of the fields, each small structure with deliberate care, and he felt an intimate connection to the legacy embedded in every inch of this land, the invisible heartbeat of generations resonating beneath the snow, while Blaze moved beside him, alert and patient, tail swaying gently, ears tuned to every sound, a silent partner and guardian of the valley, guiding him with quiet instinct toward a low hill that offered a sweeping view of the hidden farm, where the orchards, streams, and rolling fields stretched into the distance, the frozen pond reflecting the soft hues of the evening sky, and Daniel breathed deeply, absorbing the serenity, the harmony of life preserved through decades of attention, patience, and dedication, and he realized that the farm, now his stewardship, was more than a place of work or property. It was a living testament to hope, perseverance, and the enduring impact of quiet acts of goodness. As he reached the top of the hill, he paused, watching the sun dip behind distant ridges, casting long shadows across the fields, the wind carrying the subtle fragrance of pine, earth, and the faint sweetness of dormant fruit. And in that moment, Daniel felt a profound sense of gratitude, the loyalty of Blaze, the resilience of the valley, and the continuity of life and care coming together in perfect balance, while the soft crunch of snow beneath his boots and the gentle ripple of the pond created a rhythm that echoed the quiet pulse of the land itself. He knelt to touch the frozen soil, feeling the texture of frost and earth, sensing the legacy beneath his hands, and Blaze nudged him gently, a reminder of companionship and shared purpose, and Daniel understood that he was now part of a chain of stewardship, a link in a story that spanned decades, carried forward by patience, kindness, and attentive care. And as the first stars appeared in the deepening sky, he took one last look across the valley, the fields glistening, the farmhouse and barns standing steadfast, the hidden streams weaving silver paths through the snow, and in the quiet that settled over him, he felt the gentle truth of life's continuity, that the smallest acts of goodness, the loyalty of a friend, and the reverence for the land could create a legacy that endured, resonated, and inspired all who would walk these paths in the seasons yet to come. The first chill of evening deepened as Daniel Harper walked along the narrow path that wound between the orchard and the frozen creek, Blaze moving silently at his side, ears alert to every sound, tail swaying gently, and the valley around them seemed to hold its breath, the snow-covered fields reflecting the muted glow of the setting sun, the bare branches of apple and cherry trees casting intricate shadows across the ground, while the distant hills rolled softly into the horizon, each rise and fall a testament to the patience and care that had shaped this hidden farm over generations. Daniel paused to take in the scene, noticing how the frost clung to every twig and blade of grass, sparkling like scattered crystals in the last light, and he felt a quiet reverence for the land, the rhythm of seasons preserved, the legacy of careful hands and thoughtful stewardship. And the loyal presence of Blaze reminded him that he was not alone in honoring this place. The dog's amber eyes, bright, tail low, breathing softly, yet attuned to the subtle movements in the snow and the faint whispers of the wind. Moving closer to the farmhouse, Daniel observed the weathered stone walls, the gentle slope of the roof, the chimney that had stood through countless winters, and he imagined the generations of farmers who had lived and worked here, their daily routines, the laughter, the quiet conversations, the small rituals that marked the passing of time, each detail preserved in the rhythms of the land and structures that surrounded him. And he felt a deep connection to those who had nurtured this valley before him, a continuity of care that stretched back through decades, now entrusted to his hands. Stepping inside the main room of the farmhouse, he inhaled the scent of aged wood, faint cedar, and the lingering warmth of the winter sun, brushing his fingers over the shelves lined with seed packets, jars of preserved fruits, and handwritten notes chronicling planting schedules, irrigation plans, and seasonal observations, each item a tangible thread connecting past to present, a reminder that stewardship and patience created a living, breathing legacy. While Blaze explored the corners carefully, nose twitching, ears high, tail swishing softly, alert and watchful, a constant companion in understanding the depth of this inheritance. As Daniel moved toward the windows that overlooked the orchards, the frozen pond, and the rolling fields beyond, the wind shifted, carrying the subtle scent of pine, thawing soil, and distant smoke, and he felt the pulse of life in the valley, quiet but persistent, echoing the labor and devotion that had preserved this farm for decades, each detail a testament to patience, kindness, and attention to the smallest gestures that ensured continuity and care. Standing there, he traced the patterns of frost across the glass, listening to the faint gurgle of the creek, the whisper of wind through the trees, the soft echo of distant wildlife. And he understood that this hidden farm was more than a place of work, more than a property. It was a living story, a quiet miracle woven by countless acts of care. And with Blaze at his side, Daniel felt the profound truth that the loyalty of a friend, the patience of a steward, and the reverence for the land could shape a legacy that would endure, resonate, and inspire for generations yet to come. The night settled gently over the hidden valley, painting the sky with deep indigos and soft silver stars, and Daniel Harper walked slowly along the edge of the orchard, Blaze close by, amber eyes glinting in the fading light, ears high and attentive, tail sweeping in a steady rhythm. The cold air carried the scent of pine, snow, and the faint warmth of the soil that had been nurtured through countless seasons. And Daniel paused to watch the shadows stretch across the orchard rows, the delicate frost catching the moonlight and sparkling like tiny diamonds, each branch and furrow of the fields reflecting decades of care and dedication. While Blaze sniffed along the path, pausing occasionally to press a paw to the snow, signaling subtle disturbances, guiding Daniel toward the small creek where the ice had formed intricate patterns, the gentle gurgle of water beneath the frozen surface whispering softly in the night air. Moving closer to the farmhouse, he observed the stone walls and weathered shutters glowing in the silver light, imagining the hands that had built and protected this home, the quiet attention to detail, the patient tending of the land, and he felt the weight of stewardship settle upon him, a profound understanding that he and Blaze were now the keepers of this legacy, tasked with honoring the care and patience embedded in every aspect of the valley. Stepping inside, the warmth of the aged wood and faint scent of cedar enveloped him, the shelves lined with preserved jars, seed packets, and handwritten notes chronicling planting schedules, harvests, and observations of soil and climate, each item a thread connecting past generations to the present. While Blaze padded quietly through the rooms, sniffing and listening, attuned to the subtle vibrations of the old farm, guiding Daniel to a corner where a bundle of letters lay tied with faded ribbon, the paper delicate yet filled with stories of hope, diligence, and foresight. And as Daniel carefully examined the letters, he understood the deliberate acts of care that had preserved the farm for decades, each note a testament to patience, kindness, and continuity. Returning to the orchard, Daniel traced the frost-laden branches, observing the frozen streams and distant hills, the soft ripple of water beneath ice reflecting the moonlight, the valley quiet but alive with hidden life. And he felt the steady presence of Blaze beside him, a reminder of loyalty, partnership, and the unspoken bond that connected them to the land and to the generations who had nurtured it. As he looked across the fields, the shadows deepened and the stars brightened, painting the valley in a palette of silver and midnight blue, and Daniel understood that the hidden farm was more than a property, more than a collection of tools and orchards. It was a living story, a quiet miracle born of patient devotion and silent acts of goodness. And with Blaze at his side, he felt a sense of completeness and purpose, a profound understanding that the legacy of care, the loyalty of companions, and the gentle rhythms of nature would continue to guide the valley, nurturing life, hope, and the quiet magic of perseverance for all the seasons yet to come. The first light of dawn filtered through the thin layer of mist that hovered over the hidden valley, painting the snow-dusted fields in pale gold and silver, and Daniel Harper walked along the orchard paths, Blaze at his side, amber eyes bright, ears swiveling to catch every subtle movement, tail swishing gently, as if in rhythm with the soft whisper of the wind. The frost on the branches sparkled like tiny jewels, each twig and furrow of the land reflecting the patient care and quiet dedication that had been poured into this hidden farm for generations. And Daniel paused to take in the panorama of rolling hills, frozen streams, and orderly rows of apple and cherry trees, imagining the hands that had tended this land, the small daily rituals that had preserved its rhythm, while Blaze sniffed the air, alert to scents carried across the valley, occasionally pawing at the snow to investigate hidden traces, guiding Daniel to a small stone outbuilding partially obscured by ancient oaks, its walls moss-lined and weathered by decades of weather. Stepping closer, he observed the careful craftsmanship of the structure, the smooth curves of stonework, the precise placement of each beam, evidence of care and intention. And opening the creaking door, he was met with the warm scent of cedar and aged wood, and inside, rows of shelves lined with jars of preserved fruit, bundles of herbs, and neat stacks of handwritten notes chronicling planting schedules, seasonal observations, and careful records of crop rotations, each item a testament to patience and continuity, a bridge between past generations and the present. Daniel gently ran his hands over the papers, feeling the texture of ink and parchment, reading through the meticulous records and imagining the lives and dedication of those who had come before him, while Blaze explored quietly, ears twitching, tail low but steady, alert to every subtle noise, guiding Daniel toward a hidden panel beneath the floorboards that revealed a small cache of letters and ledgers, each containing stories of care, trust, and foresight, planning for seasons yet to come. And Daniel felt the weight and honor of responsibility, knowing that he was now part of this enduring legacy. Stepping outside, he followed the gentle slope toward the main farmhouse, the snow crunching softly beneath his boots, the light of morning reflecting off the frozen pond and glinting across the orchard, and he could hear the faint murmur of the creek winding through the valley, the subtle rustle of branches, and the soft call of distant birds returning to the trees, while Blaze walked steadily at his side, amber eyes alert, signaling that the valley was alive with quiet, persistent life. Pausing at the edge of the fields, Daniel breathed deeply, feeling the pulse of the land beneath his feet, the legacy of generations, the quiet miracles of patience, diligence, and loyalty. And he realized that the hidden farm was more than a place of work or property. It was a living testament to enduring care, kindness, and hope. And with Blaze beside him, he felt a profound sense of connection, responsibility, and belonging, ready to walk the land, nurture its life, and carry forward the legacy that had been entrusted to him. Knowing that each quiet act, each careful gesture, and each shared moment with his loyal companion would shape the valley and the seasons yet to come. The first light of morning stretched across the hidden valley, casting long shadows over the frost-kissed orchard rows and glinting softly on the frozen creek that wound through the fields. And Daniel Harper walked slowly along the ridge, Blaze moving beside him with careful, deliberate steps, ears alert, tail swaying gently, the dog's presence a steady reassurance in the serene stillness. Daniel paused, eyes sweeping the expanse of rolling hills, the frozen pond, and the orderly rows of apple and cherry trees, each branch glimmering with delicate frost, reflecting the devotion and care of countless hands that had tended this land. And he felt a quiet reverence for the generations whose patience, diligence, and subtle acts of kindness had created this hidden sanctuary, the rhythm of life embedded into every furrow, fence post, and weathered structure. While Blaze sniffed along the edge of the orchard, alert to scents and sounds imperceptible to human senses, guiding Daniel toward the farmhouse with subtle nudges and low, deliberate steps, stepping closer to the stone walls. Worn smooth by time and weather, Daniel could hear the soft creak of old timbers and feel the lingering warmth of the earth, and he imagined the countless mornings and evenings spent tending the fields, nurturing the trees, and maintaining the structures, every act contributing to a legacy that had waited patiently for someone to honor and continue it. While Blaze paused, amber eyes catching a subtle movement in the snow, ears high, tail low, signaling that even the quietest parts of the farm held stories yet to be discovered. Entering the farmhouse, the air carried the scent of cedar, aged wood, and faint traces of soil, and Daniel moved from room to room, brushing his fingers over shelves lined with preserved jars, neatly stacked seed packets, and meticulously kept notes chronicling planting schedules and seasonal observations, each item a thread connecting the past to the present. While Blaze padded silently, attentive to every corner, nose twitching at every subtle scent, guiding Daniel to a hidden panel beneath the floorboards where a small cache of letters and ledgers lay, the paper delicate yet vibrant with the stories of hope, foresight, and patient labor. And as Daniel read, he could feel the legacy of stewardship and care that had created this valley, each generation adding to the quiet miracle that now awaited him. Stepping back outside, the valley stretched endlessly before him, the orchards, streams, and rolling hills basking in the soft golden glow of dawn, the snow sparkling like countless diamonds across the fields. And Daniel felt a profound sense of gratitude, responsibility, and connection, knowing that he was now part of this living story. And with Blaze at his side, he moved through the orchard and fields, tracing the frost-covered branches, feeling the pulse of life in the valley, and understanding that every quiet act of kindness, every loyal companion, every careful touch of stewardship could resonate across time, creating a legacy of hope, patience, and enduring care that would carry the hidden farm and all who walked its paths gently forward into all the seasons yet to come.